Hey everyone, Sean here from Census. Today I want to show you our powerful segmentation features that run directly on top of your data warehouse. I've got a segment sitting in front of me here. It will look pretty familiar, some properties on my customers and events, but there's a lot hiding underneath the covers that I want to show you. In order to actually set up segmentation like this, I actually need to understand how the data in my data warehouse is related. We have a powerful feature inside Census we call entities that lets data teams sort of clean up and predefine the most important data in order to enable segmentation use cases like that. So before we jump into segments, let's spend a little time looking at entities first. So I'll flip over to entities, and we can see we've got two in our data warehouse. The idea with entities is that the data team can go in and sort of review and curate the data sets that matter most to a business. A particular data warehouse often has thousands, tens of thousands of tables and views and models, most of which aren't going to be useful to business teams that want to do segmentation. But with entities, you can go in and define the tables that matter as well as the relationships between those tables. So I'm going to actually add another entity to my graph here. I've got some customers and the events that they've triggered, but let me also go in and add purchase history. In this case, it's just a generic data type, so I'm not going to treat it any differently, but I've already got some events and users here in my graph. It has a unique ID, and I'm going to add a relationship to that one as well. I have many purchases to a customer, and they're identified by user ID mapping to ID. So I'm going to save my new entity, and you can see it's added to the graph. The benefit of this is I can now do segmentation not only on my customer data, but across user events or purchases as well. I've got my segment here, but let's go ahead and create a new one. So I'm going to create a segment of customers. Let's call them VIPs. And VIPs have not a blank email. And they were created in the last, let's say 90 days. Those are the users that I want to update first. You can see my size is updating over time as I go along. And this is just point and click, but it's ultimately just running as SQL underneath the covers. You can actually at any point see the SQL that we're using to compile this model. And if you want, you can always dive into SQL. You can kind of think of this as an Excel formula for your segments. So if you really want to get powerful, you can add your SQL directly here as well. You always have that outlet. Now, I've got my properties on customers, but I want to take advantage of those new conditions that I've got. So let's take a look at the purchase history that I added. In this case, I want to look at users who have purchased, let's say, outdoor goods. I'm going to see that update here as well. Great. And there is my segment. I can add events as well if I want to, but for now, I'm good. I'm going to go ahead and save this. Now, this segment is saved, and I can start syncing it into my destination, but actually, I don't need to do that to start. Census will already give me value, showing me how that segment is changing over time. Here, it's a brand new segment, so Census doesn't know much about it yet, but if I look at some older segments, we can see how those segments change over time. Flipping back to the segment I just created, though, I want to start sending this data, the users in this segment, off to a destination. Now, I don't have anything set up yet, but I've gone ahead and previously defined how customers should be synced into a couple of my ad destinations here. So I can go ahead and actually just use that existing sync as a template to send it off to Facebook. One click, and I've got my new sync over to Facebook. I can take a look at the fields, modify them if I want, but email, first name, and last name are all I'm going to send. I'm going to go ahead and hit sync now, and in a few moments, I should actually see that new audience gets synced to Facebook. Census will automatically go ahead and create my VIP's audience based on the name of the segment I'm sending across. Perfect. Let's take a look, see if I've got my new Facebook audience ready to go. And there's my VIPs. Perfect. I can take it from here. And that audience can stay in sync across Facebook, Google, and any of Census's 100+ destinations.